Reverend Don Lewis, coming to you from beautiful Florida. And today our question comes to us from Abeafo. And Abeafo has this question: are funerals for the living or for the dead? And I know that most of the people watching this have probably already thought, before I even got that phrase out of my mouth, why, of course, funerals are for the living. But my answer would be that sometimes the answer will be both. And obviously, the principal role of the funeral in society is to help the living to deal with their grief. And so I think that I would have to agree that that is the primary role of the funeral. But many people have the idea that the deceased person has no interest in these matters at all and is no longer around, and that is not really the point of view that I come from. Our ties to the living do not end when we die, nor do they end when we have fully crossed into spirit. The whole idea of ancestors is predicated on the idea that the ancestors are still concerned with the lives of the living and the things going on in this world to a certain extent. And what I would say is that if the person who has died came from a culture or from a personal mindset where the funeral rites were very important, yes, they are going to be concerned with it, and chances are their spirit will be right there when these things are happening. So I think that the cultural aspect is an important consideration, because there are also people who have the cultural mindset that the funeral really doesn't matter and their spirit probably won't be there. So you kind of have to call this in terms of whether the funeral has importance to the spirit of the deceased, in part on who the deceased is. But I think that for many, yes, it does have a role of importance for the spirit as well as for the living. And certainly traditionally this has been the view. Almost all cultures that have funereal rites, which is pretty much all cultures, have felt that it was important to the spirit of the deceased. And in modern culture this may no longer be the case, but I don't think that's always true. So my answer to whether funerals are for the living or for the dead is that, while primarily for the living in our current society, they still often can be for the dead. And I think this is an important thing for a spiritual person to take into account. And I think that if you are an open clairvoyant and you go to funerals, you probably will find that it's not only the living who are there, and not only the recently deceased, but other ancestral spirits as well. At least if it is the kind of family where the ancestors are important. So, those would be my thoughts on the matter. I hope you find them helpful, and until next time, may you blessed be. Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from witchschool.com. Are you looking for the best in pagan and magical education? With more than 12,000 pages, witchschool.com is like having your own personal library with individual learning assistants to help you study. And Witchschool's Anyone, Anytime, Anywhere education system is available any place on Earth, anywhere you are and anytime you want it, as long as you have an internet connection. Witchschool's lifetime memberships are a great value. They really do last a lifetime. They've been there for years and they'll be there for years to come. So get your membership today at witchschool.com.